Hi, this is Colleen Adrian. Thanks for tuning in today. And I'd like to chat today for a little bit about setting limits with your highly sensitive child. There is lots of information out there about practical strategies for how to do it, what to say, negotiate with your child, don't back down. There's not very much out there about what happens when you either don't feel clear about setting a boundary or when to say no or how much to let your child push you, or when you actually know that you tend to give in a little bit easily, but you struggle with that. There's not very much information out there about what you can do about that and what's going on inside of the parent. So that's what I want to talk about today. And something that I hear, I'm paraphrasing here because I hear this from a few parents, and it's been my experience as well. Something like I have a hard time setting limits and boundaries with my child. And I know that it's partly because I had a painful childhood myself, and I want my child's life to be good. And I want to have a better relationship with my child than I had with my parents, right? And so that sets us up, that desire, that deep desire to have a strong relationship with our child can set us up to be reluctant to do anything that stimulates their anger or their disappointment. Okay. It's especially common for parents who are empathetic or who are highly sensitive themselves, and they want to use connected parenting to build a strong bond with their kids, but they were raised in a family where they were that was maybe authoritarian, or for some reason they felt emotionally disconnected from their parents. And it might have been a chaotic home that didn't have very much predictability, stressed parents, anxiety, long work hours, those kinds of things, or like a very angry parent. All of those things can set us up to be reluctant to set limits. So I resonate with that issue in many ways as well. So the issue is near and dear to my heart. And so I struggled to set limits with my son sometimes. It was easy to say no to dangerous things or things that were unhealthy, but often I didn't say no in areas where there was, where it might have caused anger or disappointment, especially in situations where I thought, what does it really matter, right? And again, it was because I was uncomfortable with his disappointment or his anger myself. As an empath and a highly sensitive person myself, I could feel his feelings in my body, right? We can when we are highly sensitive. And so I just would give in if that was a possibility that he was going to be upset. I know now that a disconnection from feelings and a discomfort with either anger or grief or disappointment, those are the things that prompt parents to be reluctant to set limits. And so when we're reluctant, even though we know the strategies that we might be able to use, there's still that inner turmoil and that, oh, does it really matter? And how can I really tell? So that's where the difficulty sets in about setting limits. And as you know, limits are really important because they create safety. They help your kids learn to live with limits. And they also give your child the experience of feeling grief or feeling disappointment or feeling anger. And if you're able to hold steady for them through those feelings, it helps them to come out the other side of feeling those feelings and know that they're going to be okay. So they actually get to have some experience with that when they're younger. And it helps them learn to live with limits later on in their lives, right? So here's my suggestions if you're struggling with this. If you're uncomfortable with grief or anger or disappointment or any of those other less pleasant emotions, either your own or your child's, that can make it very hard. Your practice is to cultivate your ability to tolerate those feelings. And you might be thinking, well, how do I do that? It can help to just go inside of yourself when you are in that situation and notice what's going on in your body. It often means doing some healing work. Some somatic work is especially helpful. That's the kind of work that I am doing with parents as well. just helping them track sensations in their body and learn to get a little bit comfortable, kind of like dipping your toe into cold water. Once you come in contact for longer and longer periods of time, you actually start to get more comfortable and you start to be able to tolerate the uncomfortable feelings. And so just to summarize here, my experience, both myself and with parents that I work with, is that it can be very hard to get clarity around setting limits, either when to set them or how to set them, or to tolerate and support your child's painful emotions until you do some healing work yourself. And once you have clarity and you're no longer triggered or subconsciously shut down when those emotions arise, then you'll be able to set limits more clearly. And the other thing that really shifts when you do this work is that your child will respond differently as well. It doesn't mean they won't be upset, but those painful emotions do run their course and they come out the other side. So thanks for listening. And if you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear them below.